الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب السماوات ورب الأرض رب العالمين. وله الكبرياء في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. الحمد لله الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات. ربنا لك الحمد حتى ترضى، ولك الحمد إذا رضيت، ولك الحمد بعد الرضا. صلى اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيد الأولين والآخرين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الملك الحق المبين، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله أمين على وحيه. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. My dear respected brother and sister in Islam, all praise and glory and thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We owe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala everything we have. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِّعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. And we are dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all our needs. يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ أَنْتُمُ الْفُقَرَاءُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ هُوَ الْغَنِيُّ الْحَمِيدُ. فَابْتَغُوا عِندَ اللَّهِ الرِّزْقَ. Everything is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So do your best to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all that He has given you, so that He will keep it and will give you more. And do your best to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all your needs, because they are in His hands. As you know, today is the day of the 10th of Muharram. As we mentioned last time, it's the day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Musa alayhi salam and his people from Fir'aun. It was one of the many great favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Bani Israel that unfortunately they did not appreciate, and they did not live up to those favors. That's why the Quran reminds us in many places. In the Quran reminds us so that we don't commit the same mistake, because we were assigned that job that Bani Israel failed to do. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning us in many places in Quran not to commit those mistakes. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to express his gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he fasted this day. That's how we Muslims express our gratitude. Anything that happens to you in life should bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it is good, it brings you closer to Allah from the door of gratitude. You want to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you either do something good that is beneficial for yourself, or as a tazkiyah, you fast, you pray, you make sujood, you make shukr, or you do something that benefit others in charity. So that's almost everything we were asked to do in Islam. It is something that will be beneficial for you, makes you a better person, or will make you, or you will contribute to make this world a better place. It is also the day, as I mentioned before, and as you know, the day where Hussein ibn Ali radiallahu anhu was massacred in a very brutal way. And this is not something that we can forget or neglect, and at the same time, it's not something that we need to be stuck in it, because history is only good for lessons. Just learn your lessons and move on. The big lessons that unfortunately we did not learn from that tragic incident and massacre of Hussein ibn Ali radiallahu anhu is that Muslims should never trade their freedom and their rights and their right to choose their leader and to hold them accountable for any price. They should never trade that for stability or for law and order. That's the mistake that was done then, and that paved the way for a dynasty rule that stayed for centuries, and it has disastrous consequences. Yes, we had some very strong Islamic states, either Dawla Umayyah or Abbasi or Uthmani or etc., but the society itself was weakening. State is strong, but society is weakening until Muslims get into occupation, being colonized, and then following the colonization, we ended up with the current dictatorial regimes. So it was a chain reaction that started then. Because that was the turning point from the Khilafah al-Rashida, from the Hukm al-Rashid, where Muslims choose their leaders and they are led by consent, and they hold their leaders accountable to the family business, family ruling, absolute power, and power is passed on from father to son. That was the turning point, and again, history is only good for lessons. Now, my dear brother and sister in Islam, we come on Friday and to do what? Basically to remind one another and work on two things. These are the key for Muslim, your understanding and your commitment to this deen. Our understanding and our commitment, or our dedication, or our devotion, these the two that Rasul was working on them all his life, especially in Mecca. He was rooting and reinforcing proper understanding and full commitment. Proper understanding and full commitment. That's how he built those individuals that we know, those great companions, and that's how he built that great community. It's through working on their understanding of the deen and their commitment to it, strengthening their understanding and their commitment. That resulted in what? When this understanding reaches the maximum or goes high, and when this commitment is become really full commitment and dedication, that resulted in people who were ready to do anything fi sabilillah. And that's what Quran called jihad fi sabilillah. Meaning these people, they were ready to do anything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked them to do. Whatever the price, whatever it's going to cost. They were asked to migrate from Mecca to Medina, leave everything behind, they responded. Later on, they were asked to fast Ramadan, they responded. They stopped drinking, which was an integral part of the life of the Arabs at that time, they stopped. Put their lives on the line in defense of the deen, did not hesitate. All of that came from that proper understanding and full commitment. So these people, they understood their deen properly, and they understood their mission, and they understood this life, and they decided to dedicate themselves and their lives to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the key. They decided to dedicate themselves and their lives to Allah and to His cause, to the mission that Allah has assigned to them, to do Allah's work and execute His plan. Once they made that commitment and that decision, which was done when they declared Shahada, by the way, these people, the Shahada and La ilaha illallah and Muhammad Rasulullah encapsulates all our deen. The companions at that time, because they understood the language very well, when they came to make that commitment, they know what they're committing themselves to. They didn't take it lightly. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, meaning I'm pledging from now on to dedicate myself and my life to Allah. And I'm taking the Prophet as my role model and my leader. That's, once they made that decision and that pledge, everything fell into place. That's what made them the great individuals that we know. They were not born like that. It is that commitment and that pledge that made them the great individuals we know and the great community. And that's what we have been doing here. That's what at least we're trying to do, is basically trying to always remind one another so that our understanding is always more and more clear, and our commitment is more and more, it's stronger all the time. So today we're trying, inshallah, to take ourselves through that journey that the companions has made, and through that transformation, which many of us did not make. Many of us inherited deen, it came with the territory. We were not presented deen this way, and we made that decision. We took it, it came with us, we inherited with some habits, some other things, cultural things. It came with the territory, so we took it. And the deen that we took, most of it is the deen of convenience. It's not the deen of commitment. It's not like to do fi sabilillah anything, whatever the price. No. We were told about a couple of things that we need to add, incorporate in our lives, and we should be fine. Let's pray, fast, don't drink, etc., and you're good. That's the kind of deen that we have inherited. So the question that each one of us should ask himself is, again, if you want to really take that journey that the companions took, what is the most precious thing for you in this life? What matters the most? I mean, if you think about it, even by elimination, what is it that the thing that you are not ready to compromise? Most people, it's life itself. To keep your life, to stay alive, you're willing to do anything. So most people, the most precious thing is life. Of course, for a true Muslim, deen comes even before life. Deen comes even before life. So when they were a true Muslim, when they were given the choice, no, they could keep the deen and they were ready to sacrifice their life. That's the level, the kind of Muslim that we were talking about. Why? Because they cannot imagine life without deen. They cannot imagine living without deen. That's why they are not willing to sacrifice that deen. Now, if that's the case, life and deen, both of them, are the most important. That's what matters most for you. Of course, followed by your family or your children, or at the same level, more or less. Then we all should love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than anything else. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us this deen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us our children, gave us family, gave us everything that we love. So if we really love these things so much, then we should love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more, because Allah is the source of all of these things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you life, gave you this deen, guided you to this deen, gave you everything that you have. And that's one. And second, because you are dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything. So one, because of that everything that we like and we appreciate is coming from Him. And second, everything that we need is also in His hands. That's why we should be really very dedicated and devoted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what happens with the companions. The love of Allah, أن يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليه مما سواهما. That Allah and His Messenger become more beloved to you than anything else. Including yourself. That's the level that you should strive to reach. It's not easy, but it's doable. Because the companions, they were not Superman. They were average people before Islam. But that sincerity and that dedication is what transformed them. That can happen with every believer until the day of judgment. It's when the love of Allah becomes more than anything else. You love Allah more than anything else, including your life. When the pleasing Allah, Ridwanullah, becomes your ultimate objective in life, something that you are concerned with all the time and you never take it for granted, that will create all the transformation. That's a transformation. That's how the transformation within the companions happened. And when that happens, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes more beloved to you than anything else, when Ridwanullah, to have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with you, becomes your obsession, something that you are concerned with all the time, that will drive you to do your utmost. Now we are no longer talking about the minimum. We're talking about you pushing your limits and trying to do your utmost. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and you always need to compare what you do fi sabilillah, compare it to what you can do. Because there are verses in Quran that are misunderstood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. That Allah does not ask you to do anything beyond your limits. Which means that Allah asking you and expecting you to do your utmost. but nothing beyond that. And the other verse is even more explicit. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما أتاها. Allah does not ask you to do anything beyond what He has provided for you, beyond your means, your physical, your financial, the time available for you. Allah does not ask you more than what He has given you. So what's the conclusion? Is Allah is asking you and expecting you to do everything that you can and to use everything that He has given you fi sabilillah. This is one of the meanings that unfortunately was lost. So always compare what you do fi sabilillah to what you can do. And compare what you do fi sabilillah to what Allah has given you. And what are you doing to express your gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all these bounties and favors? What are you doing in words, in sincere words of shukr that comes from the bottom of your heart, and in deeds by using what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you fi sabilillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran praises those who push their limits, those who race to do good. يسارعون في الخيرات وهم لها سابقون. يسارعون في الخيرات وهم لها سابقون. That's in Surah Al-Mu'minun. In Surah Al-Anbiya, كانوا يدعوننا رغبا كانوا يسارعون في الخيرات ويدعوننا رغبا ورهبا. About the people of Ali Imran. وسارعوا إلى مغفرة من ربكم. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us not only to push our limits, but also to race. When it comes to do good, is you want to race and compete and try to be the best. That's the meaning. وَسَارِعُوا. And in Surah Al-Hadid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, سَابِقُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. So there is a race. You need to, anything that you can do, anything good that you can do it now, do your best, do your utmost, and compete. وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسَ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. That's what people should be competing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after describing heaven in Surah Al-Mutaffifin, He said, وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسُ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. This is what people should be competing on. And even if you are and you should do your best in this life, to be in good shape financially, to be in good shape physically, and compete. You can and you should. But for what? So that you can do more fi sabilillah. The more money you have, the more you can do. The more influence, power, position you have, the more you can do fi sabilillah. The healthier you are, the more you can do fi sabilillah. So even as we are competing in this dunya, to be the best, to be the most successful, academically, professionally, financially, we always should have in mind that these are means for something bigger. That's also what many Muslims misunderstood. They thought that focusing on the hereafter meaning neglecting this dunya. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to be successful and strong and resourceful so that you can do more fi sabilillah. And there is a verse in Surah Tawbah. Surah Tawbah is Surah 9. And the verse is verse 92. I really invite all of us to spend some time reflecting on this verse. Verse 92, Surah 9. This is about some people. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was going out for a battle. And it was in the middle of the summer, extremely hot conditions. There are people who came and they want to go. See the conditions? First of all, going, maybe you're not going to come back. And then it is in those anybody who went to the Saudi Arabia or to the Gulf, especially in the summer, they know what I'm talking about. The kind of weather in the summer. So these people came to Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asking him to take them. They're very poor.
They have no, just, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما. These people, they went beyond, above and beyond their limits. They're coming to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam asking, is there any transportation for us so that we can go? And the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no, I don't have any way to carry you. We don't have enough camels and transportations. What did they say? تولوا وأعينهم تفيض من الدمع حزنا ألا يجدوا ما ينفقون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that nor is the blame ولا على الذين إذا ما أتوك لتحملهم قلت لا أجد ما أحملكم عليه تولوا وأعينهم تفيض من الدمع حزنا ألا يجدوا ما ينفقون. Nor is the blame on those who came to you, to the Prophet, to be provided with mounts, transportation, camels or horses. And when you said, I can find no mounts for you, we don't. And you're excused. Did they go very happy that they were? No. Actually, they were very sad. They turned back, their eyes streaming with tears. We're looking at people trying to do their maximum and even beyond, and when that was not possible, they were sad. They turned back with their eyes streaming with tears of grief that they had no resources. They had no resources wherewith to provide the expenses. This is the attitude that we all need to acquire, which is to push your limits, to do your utmost, and to wish that you have more, to do more في سبيل الله. تولوا وأعينهم تفيض من الدمع حزنا ألا يجدوا ما ينفقون. Is this doable? It is. As I said, these were very average people before Islam. If we are serious about this and we want to take that journey and that transformation, then we have to embark on a journey of learning about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that will make you love Him, that will strengthen your relationship with Him, and journey of learning Muradullah, learning your deen, learning your expectation, learning your mission, understanding. Remember, it's about understanding and commitment. And the journey of studying the Quran. Studying the Quran. Because if you want to really serious about that transformation, you need to start studying the Quran in the same way that you study any textbook when you are in school or in college. This deen, my dear respected brother and sister in Islam, it's a very serious. We're dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's very serious business and very serious commitment. You want to take that commitment, you need to be aware of what does it take, and you need to honor it. You need to do your best to honor it. The essence of our deen is what? It's a risala bimaqasid. A mission with goals, with ultimate goals. And your job is to understand that mission or that job, fulfill it to the best of your ability. And understand maqasid. What is the purpose of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is it that Allah wants to happen? And then do your best to make it happen. Maximize your contribution to make it happen. If you do that, then everything will fall in place. You will find yourself driven to get closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to do your best in worshiping Him. Why? One, to express your love and gratitude. And second, to seek His help, because that mission is very demanding. It's very taxing. It requires that spiritual recharge. That's why the companions used to recharge at night. كانوا رهبانا بالليل فرسانا بالنهار. There is an energy that you harness during the night so that you can spend it during the day. Because fulfilling that mission was very demanding. People were rejected, people they harassed them, they made fun of them, etc. So you need all that strength and energy that you can get only from getting closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So commitment to that mission will drive you in this direction of getting closer and closer to Allah and working on your relationship with Him, on your ibadat, on your spiritual development and tazkiyah in general. It will drive people to one another. That's how the prophetic community was built. It was cemented by that common cause. They had unity of purpose and unity of leadership. That's what made it so strong of a commitment. That will drive people to be true brothers, true sisters, and also to exercise at-tawasi bil-haqq wa tawasi bil-sabr. Remember that these are two of the four criteria that will protect you from being in loss. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. We all have big mission to fulfill, so we keep reminding and strengthening one another to fulfill it. That will drive you also to try to learn about this world, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assigned you the task to develop it and to establish justice in it and to manage it. That's the meaning of being Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth. You can see how many track of learning about Allah, learning about your mission, learning about the maqasid or the ultimate purpose of objectives and goals of this deen, learning about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam because you're taking him as a role model, learning about this world because that's where you are expected to fulfill your mission. That's why that this deen is a package. It's a paradigm, so much intertwined, connected together. And that's why, unfortunately, throughout the century, when it has collapsed and disintegrated, people took bits and pieces and made their own version of Islam. That's why we ended up with those very superficial versions of Islam, and we lost that essence, because this is a package. It's a paradigm. You have seen how things are so much connected. Your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your ibadat, your tazkiyah, you are fulfilling your mission, fulfilling the purpose of Allah, knowledge, all of these are so much connected that when they collapse, the whole thing unfortunately collapsed. So that's the deen that we need to rediscover. And that's the deen that we need to re-embrace. But this time, not we inherited, but this time should be conscious decision that we know what does it take, we are aware, and then we make that commitment and pledge ourselves to dedicate ourselves and our life to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa tubu ilallahi innahu ghafurur rahim. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونتوب إليه. نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهدي الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. My dear respected brother and sister in Islam, from that great package, from that great, inspiring and empowering deen, we ended up with something so obsolete, like minimum things to do, and for what? Just to avoid being thrown in hellfire. That great deen was reduced to a couple of tasks, few tasks to do. Just do the minimum, just to avoid being thrown in hellfire. And then majority of Muslims nowadays are taking mardatullah or ridwanullah for granted. Unfortunately, the same mistake that Bani Israel committed before, taking things for granted. قالت اليهود والنصارى نحن أبناء الله وأحباؤه. And we are the sons, who are the chosen people, we are the sons of Allah and His beloved ones, so shouldn't be worried, taking things for granted. And then a lot of Muslims, they are under that impression today. And then the fact that even if we're gonna be punished, it's gonna be a few days. قالوا لن تمسنا النار إلا أياما معدودة. All of those mistakes that the Quran talks about, that Bani Israel committed, unfortunately, a lot of Muslims nowadays are committing them. And that's why you can see why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He says in Quran, كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ, you are the best of communities. First of all, not the best because you are better than them. You are sent to serve and to guide and lead. And then immediately after that, so that we don't go far thinking about we are the chosen people because of who we are, Quran says تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. That your special status is coming from fulfilling this mission. The moment you stop fulfilling this mission, you have no special status. Even it was mentioned before Iman. تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. Does it mean that Amr al-Ma'ruf and Nahy al-Munkar is more important than Iman? No. But Quran puts everything in place for a reason. So that as soon as you hear that you are the best communities, before you start thinking that you are better because of who you are, Quran tells you that no, you are better because of this. That's what makes you special. It's not your ethnicity, it's not your nationality, it's not your race, it's not none of this. It is this commitment and this dedication to the cause that will make you first special and that will qualify you for the help and support from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا وتوفنا وتراض عنا واختم بالصالحات أعمالنا واجعل خير أعمالنا خواتمها وخير أيامنا من نلقاك ومتعنا اللهم بالنظر إلى وجهك الكريم. ربنا ارحم والدينا كما ربونا صغارا وارحم موتانا وجميع موتى المسلمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. صل